They had a big lead until they got to 15, but then their offense broke down because they couldn't control the other team's serve.
And once again, that's on a scale of 0 being a bad pass, 3 being an excellent pass. And so the 2.4 for Penn State, very good, as the Cardinal get the first point of this second set. We'll check that Penn State with the opening set, and another ace. That's their 4th of the match already.
They also outblocked and outdug Stanford, much of it again because of the effective serving, taking Stanford out of its offense.
Nicole Fawcett, the 6'4" senior from Zanesfield, Ohio, hosted her team at her Grandma Ruth's house for Thanksgiving. Often these volleyball players are on the road for the fall holidays, and so the whole team went over to Grandma Ruth's house. She cooked up a big dinner for them, and they had a great time away from home. They've been singing Christmas carols on the road from one of their matches after they clinched the Big Ten championship. They've really been enjoying the ride this year, Karch, and not really feeling the weight of any pressure to repeat.
And as we have watched the practices here, they've clearly been the loosest team, looking like they're just enjoying their experience. You wouldn't expect that. You'd expect a team to be pressing a little with all the streaks they had on the line and defending champions also.
They're having a big viewing party back at Pickles in State College. A lot of the Penn State fans, they draw so well at Rec Hall. 63 wins in a row. Stanford, the last team to beat them last September. And the Cardinals have no response right now for the Penn State service game.
A 5th ace. Confusion in the seam there. Normally, that would be Ailes' ball. Normally, players want to reach to their left to take, depending on the coach's scheme, to take the middle ball.
Lichtman going to Barbosa. Blocked by Harmato. They are outblocking opponents in the NCAA tournament by an almost 4-1 margin.
And she really, Harmato is the emotional leader of this team. She said she couldn't be, imagine playing for any coach besides Russ Rose. Loves playing for him, and he loves coaching her. Would sign a lifetime contract if he could.
Long. They get the touch? No. Point Penn State. That's the one nice thing about both these programs, Karch, the tremendous support from their alums. Obviously, they've been winning for years at both these places. They're the only 2 programs that have played in all 28 NCAA tournaments. And you always see former players hanging around, coming to practice, encouraging the current crop of players.
Yeah, how about Coach Dunning? 6 of his 8 years, he takes his team to the finals. That is amazing in this ultra-competitive Division I women's college volleyball. Over 330 programs, and they're there year in, year out.
If he wins a 5th championship tonight, that would put him at the top of the wins list in finals. But things not going his way right now, down 7-2 here in the second.
Nope, and on the other bench, Russ Rose, actually surprising to me that it took him as long with the great program that he has to win a 2nd championship last year, now on the verge of a 3rd.
Fawcett long out of the back, point Stanford. There is Russ Rose in his signature blue sweater that he always wears over on the bench.
He talks about how he's an attitude guy, not a technical guy, and he's always cracking his kids up. In fact, at 10-8, there was a critical timeout in that semis where he really loosened things up, and they could have broken at that point. A tough 10-8 5th set against Nebraska 2 days ago.
Glass looking to Harmato, and she's stuffed by Kleinman. Maybe that'll be the emotional play they're looking for.
Kleinman reading this play perfectly. Normally, Harmato likes to go all the way out to this antenna in your screen, but that time stayed about 5 feet inside. Kleinman didn't fall for it, hands all over it.
Once again, that net is about 7 feet 4 inches, and a lot of these frontline players are playing the game up at about 10 feet at the top of their leap. Good D by Stanford. Glass to Hodge. Faluka got it. Kleinman.
Oh, nice.
Popped up by Holhouse. And they're not going to be able to keep that one alive. Point Cardinal.
You are right. These players are playing so high above the net. It's amazing. You saw in the middle of that rally Hodge going right over a strong Stanford block. Janet Akoba is one of the best jumpers in the gym. Went right over her on the angle.
Hodge with the tip, covered by Fishburne. Kleinman tried to push it deep, and it's long. The NCAA championships will be returning to ESPN in March, starting with the indoor track and field finals. For more information on the 2009 Winter NCAA Championships, go to ncaa.com. It's the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. As we close out the fall championships with our women's volleyball, congratulations to some of the national champions. It was a good fall at Maryland for both the men's soccer team and the women's field hockey team. And the Carolina women's soccer team also winning a title. They're 19th for Anson Dorrance. Armato, she's almost got as many kills already as she had the entire semifinal match.
And it's funny, earlier this season she had to be banned from this jump measuring device called the Vertec. And remember, all their players touched 10.5 or higher. She went so hard at this machine she broke her hand before the start of the season. So Coach Rose said, never again, just stay away from that thing. Got to keep you healthy.
They don't let them use it anymore. Hodge with the pass. Last tried to go over on 2.
But Lichtman was all over it. Great volleyball IQ by her.
Hodge to Fawcett deep. Point Stanford.
Cassie Lichtman is just such a great all-around volleyball player. Last year, she was basically a serving specialist, passing specialist, defense. This year, she turns into, at the early part of the year, she was running the offense, setting part of the time and attacking part of the time very efficiently.
That was one of the big reasons that they are riding a 16-match win streak into this championship. They switched from a 6-2 offense with 2 setters to just using a 5-1 offense with Lichtman as their primary setter. They haven't lost since that switch. Barboza tried to cut that one and missed it.
And I think it really helped once they switched to the one-setter offense. Instead of kind of giving 50% of the snaps to each quarterback, Lichtman got more of the action and has gotten better and better. And that's why, much of why Stanford has gone on this streak.
Barboza through the block for the kill.
Barboza being really aggressive, swinging hard. We saw her. That was her 7th kill. We saw her one play ago hitting wide, but she comes right back strong. I like seeing that. Not intimidated here. Hungry for the win.
There's the stuff for Akinradaro. You know, the seniors were asked about whether or not they would be considered failures if they lost a 3rd consecutive final, and Barboza just kind of laughed at that and said, absolutely not. Our success is based on the fact that we fight and lay it on the line every time we step on the court.
We've been in 3 finals, and we've won 3 straight Pac-10 championships in a great conference like that. Nobody can call their careers failures, she said, because of one loss tonight.
They've come up a bit short in the last 2 title matches. They are just the 3rd program, by the way, to go to 3 straight finals. Barboza. She's missed a few balls long here so far.
It's almost like she's being so aggressive, she's not getting quite the snap on the ball. You saw that last one have very little topspin, and that's why it flew out more, and it stays in the court.
Is it not also, Coach, a strategy because Penn State gets so high on the block that teams will hit a little high to ricochet the ball off their fingertips?
Sometimes they'll aim for that. In Nebraska, we saw that do that a lot, called hitting the high hands, especially down the line. But on that one swing by Barboza, she only had one blocker in front of her. She may not have seen it well, expected a second one there for the hands.
Wilson, no. Good D by Akinradaro. Salute the patrol in that net. She will close out her career as the best hitter ever in college volleyball.
The highest efficiency, and that's calculated by taking all of your kills. You subtract all of the times you got blocked or hit out, and then divide by your career attempts, and she's higher than anybody else.
Brown stuffed. Big play by Akinradaro, and Barboza to tie it at 12.
Barboza not that big at 6 feet tall on the left side, but a very skilled blocker. Certainly Stanford got to take that into account. Lichtman is considered a little bit of more of a weak block. So going to the back toward that side of the Stanford defense might be a smarter strategy.
Sent a bit long. Cervicera gives Penn State the lead back. Roberta Holhouse will serve. What a year it's been for Penn State volleyball, both the men and the women, the reigning national champions. And the men will be heavily favored next spring to go back-to-back, which is what the women are trying to do. They have a great working relationship, the men and women do at Penn State.
Well, the women were asked yesterday, does it bother you to be compared to or thought of as a men's team? And they said, no, we think of it as a great compliment. And that kind of a set right there that Megan Hodge was going for is typical of that. Faster tempo, faster speed. But they do have an argument with their men's team as to who would win. And if they faced off, the men say, we could take 2 of our players and beat any of your 6. And they say, no way. That
would be a match worthy of watching. And right now the Cardinals get another point for their first lead of this set, as they joined Stanford's men and women back in 96-97 as the only 2 programs to have both championship trophies in the same academic year. Brown, boy, after she had gotten blocked the previous attempt, the nice tip around the outside.
Very nice recognition to see how far, how deep Ailes was playing, knowing that would be wide open. See right there, Ailes way back about the 25-foot line. Good recognition by Brown.
Second team All-American, one of 6 All-Americans on the Penn State side of the net. One of 9 All-Americans in this match, an NCAA record for a championship. Akinradawo is blocked. Ailes bumps it up. Kleinman, no. Glass tried to attack. She'll give it up for Hodge. Megan Hodge, 5th kill of the match for her. Midway through set number 2, Penn State on top 1-0 and up a point in the second.
Before every match, I set my goggles on John Denning's seat. I pick out what color headband I want to wear.
I put my iPod on shuffle so I never hear the same songs before any 2 matches.
Before every match,
I make sure my nail polish is bright.
And welcome back to the 2008 NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship match here in Omaha. Penn State a winner over Stanford in the first set. They are up 1 here in set number 2. And Karch, you won 3 national championships. Your playing days at UCLA. What was your pre-game routine?
Well, you know, one of the things I liked was losing the warm-up battle. We saw it out here. These kids are just crushing balls, bouncing them way into the air. I wanted to be the least effective at that because the flatter you hit the ball, you don't want to get in a habit of hitting straight down. It goes right into blockers' hands. If you hit flat, it goes right off the top. So I lost every single warm-up battle, but hopefully lost the battle and then won the war. There's a nice high flat that I'm talking about, over the block instead of dragging it down and getting blocked. And speaking of blocking, Stanford really on fire. 5 blocks this set alone, only 1 in the first, and that's kept Stanford in this battle.
They're out blocking the top blocking team in the nation, and the top hitting team, Penn State, is hitting negative so far in this set. Armato coming behind. Did she run back into it? No, did not. She did not. Point Penn State.
Good read, though, by Kleinman. Armato can hit that sharp angle, middle, or line, and Kleinman all over the line that time. Great hands by her.
Armato, who was quiet in the semis until the 5th set, already has as many kills tonight as she did on Thursday. And another big swing from Stanford to tie it up.
And another flat trajectory. Very effective by Kleinman. It also puts all of her 6'5" frame to use by aiming deep into the corner. She'll never get blocked.
Set is to 25 after win by 2. Cassidy Lichtman serving. Hodge the tip out of the back. Stanford, oh, lucky there to keep that alive. Got away with 1. Fawcett. Don't get away with another. Nicole Fawcett, the National Player of the Year with the kill.
Crushing away high hands herself, but Stanford really a bad break. 2 players were all over that easy tip that came from Megan Hodge in the backcourt. That should have been a free ball situation for Stanford. As you mentioned, they struggled just to get it over the net.
Kelsey Riemann to serve, and boy was Fawcett big in the 5th set on Thursday. Was a part of all of their points in a 6-0 run late in that set to secure a spot in the final.
Just as she was big in the 5th set 1 year ago against this same team. Really turned it on when they put the Jets on and accelerated past Stanford.
Timeout for John Dunning and Stanford. They fall behind by a couple here in set number 2. The Quest Center in Omaha, Nebraska for the 2008 NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship match. For the 2nd year in a row, it's Penn State and Stanford meeting in the final. Penn State a winner in 5 sets a year ago. They take the opener tonight, and now we're up 18-16 here in the 2nd. And Cynthia Barbosa, she and her senior classmate Feluca Akinradowo trying to win their first championship in this their 3rd consecutive trip to the finals.
And both of them far below their season averages. Their season, Barbosa 274, Akinradowo 462. Akinradowo's problem is just that when she gets set, it's usually in front of two blockers are in front of her, and Barbosa almost being a little too aggressive, playing too loose. There are some errors that we saw earlier in the set.
Not a huge area of concern just yet, because remember when they fell down 0-2 in the semis, they were both quiet, and then boy did they come on big. In the last 3 sets they combined for 27 kills and just 2 errors. And
Nebraska came back from down 2-0 against this Penn State team, so even if Stanford loses this set, they know it is certainly possible to storm back.
Megan Hodge with the kill.
Now that was out of the back row. Did you see how she bounced that to the 15-foot line? Such an incredibly talented athlete. They did not run that much in the regular season. Stanford wasn't ready for it.
She and a couple of her Penn State teammates said no to an invitation to the U.S. national camp. They didn't think they would have a legitimate shot at making the Olympics, so they decided to stay home and work out together. Even though Hodge, growing up in volleyball, said 2 of her favorite players were Logan Tom and Ogana Namani, who both starred at Stanford before playing on the indoor U.S. national team and going to Beijing's Olympics.
And Logan Tom was a real star for the U.S. as that same kind of player, the outside hitter who can be a great passer in the backcourt, a great attacker in the front court, blocker too. I see Megan Hodge filling that role in the future. We've got to talk to the new USA Women's Olympic coach, or national team coach, Hugh McCutcheon, who switched over from the men. He was here earlier this week looking at all these players. He had to be taking a big look at Megan Hodge. A couple of years' experience, she may be playing a big role in London.
The U.S. women won the silver medal in Beijing, but there could be a lot of turnover in the next 4 years for the spots on the 2012 team. Here's Hodge with a swing. Ailes popped it up. Block gets a piece of Barbosa's swing. Blair Brown dug by Waller, but it's going to go wide. Blair Brown at 6'5" is really doing a nice job of getting up and around the block. She's got 5 kills. Has been hitting over 450 so far in the postseason.
Yet another player, all the Penn State players, we've never seen this before, all hitting at over 300 for the season.
Yeah, that's another record they could set, all 6 starters at that number. And as a team, if they can get over 400 as a team, that would be the first time that's happened in a season.
Nebraska was so good on defense, digging them and blocking the other day, that for the first time all season, Penn State dropped below that 400 mark. So they're at 398 right now. If they have a fairly efficient offense, there's some question as to what the score should be.
That's Paul Albright, the down official. He's working with Margie Ray, Chris Tan, and Kylene Nichols on this championship match.
Our score has it at 21-19, as you see at the top of your screen, but on the scoreboard in the facility here, it says 20 all. Coach Rose arguing that it should be 21-19.
Our chief statistician, Mike Sondheimer's ready to jump over the table and straighten him out over there. He does a terrific job for us here at the national championships. He's got it at 21-19.
Man extraordinaire, taking care of us.
In the meantime, here a little delay to Slow the match down a little bit. Penn State would like to try and close this one out. They're 4 points from the second set. We are at the Quest Center here in Omaha, Nebraska for the 2008 NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship. The top two seeds in the tournament both advancing to the finals. Beth Mowins, along with three-time gold medalist, three-time national champion at UCLA, Karch Kiraly. Stanford, can they break through? They've lost the last two finals. This is their third trip in a row. And what's at stake for Penn State? A 63-match winning streak. They haven't lost since Stanford beat them last September. And if they win tonight, Karch, pretty much the entire volleyball community is ready to give them the label of the best team in the sport's history.
Absolutely, and I think part of the reason they've been able to push themselves so well is Coach Rose. In fact, he said just a couple of weeks ago, his players were telling him, "You're too negative." Let's see if we can hear.
Okay, it was 18-20. Penn State was up 2 at the time.
Let's see what they decide on the scorekeeping question. But Coach Rose said, "I know I'm doing my job. If my players tell me I'm criticizing, I'm too negative, then it's perfect," because he's relentless. Very seldom will he give out many compliments, and that's one of the reasons they've been able to push and keep this streak alive and push themselves when they had everybody back. They could have gotten complacent this season, having a whole championship team back.
We're being told that even John Dunning over on the Stanford bench has 21-19 on his score sheet. And he's saying, hey, come on, let's get it going. Dunning, who has 2 titles at Stanford and 2 at the University of Pacific, where he started out his career. This is his 9th trip to the championship. And that's more than any other coach in the women's game.
He took over UOP in the early 80s. His first year wins a championship. Takes over Stanford in 2001. First year, right to the top and wins a championship. Great credit to him building or keeping a very strong Stanford program going after what Don Shaw did with the program, winning 4 titles in the 90s.
And a chant of 21-19 now breaks out from both cheering sections.
They just want to see playing. We've noticed throughout the week this facility isn't exactly the warmest, and that's actually a little bit of a concern. You don't want to let these great athletes cool off. They're feeling good when the action is going and there are short timeouts, but this is a long break.
Now I'm starting to look for an NFL official coming out from underneath the hood in one of those instant replay nightmare reviews.
Well, there may be some question because a few plays ago, Nicole Fawcett attacked from outside, from the left side, and the ball flew and landed out of bounds, but the referee called touch and point Penn State. The scorekeeper might not have seen it and given it point to Penn State, to Stanford, because the ball landed out, not realizing there was a touch. Barboza ready to paper, scissors, rock for the score. I love it. Just get this thing going, she says.
A lot of these players are friends. They've played on national teams growing up. And
Alicia Glass is one of them. We're talking about all these Olympic potential players. She feels like she's encouraged because they seem less out of reach now that she's gotten to share the court with Nicole Fawcett and Megan Hodge. Oh, now 2019.
And now they're going to take a point away from Penn State here. Wow. In a national championship match.
Roll back the tape. That shouldn't happen. A little confusion.
So instead of what we have here officially, 21-19, what both coaches were agreeing to, 21-19, it is 20-19. Penn State serving with the 1-point lead. Kleinman, blocked.
I think that's a little to Penn State's advantage that they get to serve, and Stanford has to run the offense after that long break.
Timeout called by Stanford after the long delay. And it's 21-19. Well, Sunday night, 2 of the top women's basketball teams will hit the court on ESPN2. It's the Stanford Cardinal, ranked 4th in the country, taking on 10th-ranked Tennessee. It's women's college basketball and holiday hoops, presented by Kate Jewelers on ESPN2 Sunday night at 7 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And it's the Reaching the Summit countdown to 1,000 for Pat Summitt with 991 career wins. The earliest she could get to 1,000 would be on January 25th at Auburn. And it's possible you'll be able to see that 1,000th win on the ESPN family of networks. They'll be at Ole Miss on January 29th on ESPNU and at Oklahoma on ESPN2's Big Monday on February 2nd. As Pat Summitt tries to scale that summit and get to 1,000 career wins. Andy Banikowski's got the women's side in volleyball, and then there's Russ Rose sitting behind Dave Shoji, 3rd all-time.
Storming on. In fact, if he gets the one today, he got 38 wins this season. He gets 37, 38 next season. He's right there breaking the mark. Dave Shoji, great coach at Hawaii, should pass it before Rose, but Rose has done it in fewer seasons. And another great coach, maybe with one of his best coaching jobs, best coaching seasons, John Cook there on your screen, almost taking down the unprecedentedly dominant, until 2 nights ago, Penn State.
What a great job by this Nebraska program, and their fans have been incredible here in Omaha, setting a new NCAA record with over 17,400 people in the building in the semifinals. They played in one of the most memorable matches in tournament history, winning their region final, coming from down 0-2 against Washington in Seattle. And a part of that memorable night 2 nights ago when both the semis went 5 as Barboza gets the kill. Stanford within 1. We've had a little controversy here in the second set with what we had as the official score, a 2-point lead for Penn State. They took one of those points away. Fawcett out of the back. Ailes with the pass to Lickman. Faluka sliding behind. Armato going to back set to Hodge. That's stuffed. Blair Brown with the tip, got it down.
She saw it happen before, and you saw that she didn't give it away till later. She uses a nice arm swing there and just breaks it out. Looks like it's going to be a hit, and then it comes, and Ailes can't get there. Kleinman may have to think about going after that ball herself behind, because Ailes is dug in so deep in the court.
Kleinman. Fawcett swooping out of the back, missed it. Point Stanford. McEnroe to serve.
Coach Dunning still trying to check on things here. I don't know if he's wondering what the score is or if he has any timeouts. Now we've got 22-21, and the scoreboard here says 23-22. You got like 3 or 4 different possible scores here.
Russ Rose actually has a degree. He started out his coaching career at Nebraska. In statistics, he's got all the numbers written down there. It was great the other day on one of the press conferences. So the last time I was up here was at a Bootsy Collins concert with the Parliament Funkadelic back in the late 70s. Bringing his team back to Omaha, and the service error for Faluka.
And that delay certainly didn't help. It's hard as a server to have to wait and wait and wait at the service line. First set point for Penn State.
Kleinman buries it. Point Stanford, 24-23 Penn State. So they've got one more set point right here.
Although remember, the set would be over by now if Penn State had not lost that. So if Stanford comes back, they'll get to steal one. And there's a bad pass. Opportunity for Stanford.
Fawcett wide. And we're tied at 24.
Rose doesn't want to let this one get away with a timeout there. Bad break for Penn State. That set would be over at 25-23 without the lost point.
Sets to 25, but you've got to win by 2. Here's a replay of that last play, and boy, Karch, that certainly looked good. Did it go outside the antenna?
Well, she is outside. The linesman in your lower left has the best view of that ball, and she was standing outside. The ball landed just outside, actually on the line, but I don't see how she could have. The thing is, it's not where it landed. It went outside the antenna, from my view. Because the linesman behind her immediately called out before the ball ever landed. It was his opinion that it went outside that antenna, or that it touched that antenna on the way out.
Even though the linesman on the opposite side, which did not have the best view of the ball coming over the net, did call it landing in. And we're even at 24, and you see Russ Rose, I think he just said, hey, this should have been over, 25-23.
I think he thinks it's a good call. Somebody on his bench would have argued that vehemently if it was clearly an in hit.
I think he was referring to the scoring debate that we had earlier in the set.
Important for Penn State to come out strong. Stanford would love to steal this one.
Lichtman serving. Better pass. Fawcett rips it. Third set point for Penn State.
Stanford has to move its block in. Fawcett loves to hit that hard angle. And if she has some court to hit at, it means the block didn't adjust.
Kelsey Reen to serve for the set. Lichtman looking for Kleinman. Good get by DeRico. Here comes Fawcett for the set. Free ball Penn State. Glass had to push it over. Kept alive by Lichtman. Barboza out of the back. No. DeRico, another big play. Fawcett. Ailes popped it up. Hodge out of the back. Well, that'll do it.
Incredible defense by the backcourt players there. Ailes and DeRico.